Driven, Remax Hallmark's real estate show, with your hosts, Johnder, Perez, and Dan Salhany.
So welcome everybody. So happy that you've all taken a little bit of your time on this beautiful December 9th day to join us as we have the privilege of interviewing Irene Bilinski. So welcome, Irene.
Hi.
We're thrilled to have you here, and thank you all again for tuning in. I think for those that either are in the real estate industry or different types of businesses, or those that are just tuning in that know Irene, I think you're going to get a really great appreciation at the end of this for all of the steps and the tasks and the focus that Irene has had over the years of being a realtor in getting to where she is now with her successes. And Irene doesn't fit the typical mold of what you would expect as far as somebody that is able to do as much business as she does. She just it's a different career path that she's taken, and I know she's had a number of careers in her time as being in her adulthood and that type of thing. And I think it was 14 or 15 years ago, Irene, that you fell into this, making a decision to obtain your real estate career, your real estate license. My apologies.
Yeah, correct.
Fantastic. So, what we usually do with the Driven Show, folks, is we get right into it. We give you a little bit of insight as to who Irene is. We're going to ask her some questions about her successes, what motivates her, how she got to where she is, her daily tasks that she's focused on. And at the end of it, certainly in the chat section of the Zoom, you can pose any questions that you might have for Irene. We're going to stick around at the end of the show. We usually take about 30 to 35 minutes to interview our individuals. And feel free to pose any questions that you might have. Irene's contact information is actually posted on here. And I know that she would obviously love to hear from each and every one of you after the show, and to stay in touch and create a little bit of networking amongst each other. So Irene, straight to the point.
Yes.
What do you attribute your successes to?
Well, being consistent, being positive, getting up in the morning. I can't wait to get up in the morning and just get ready to go to work. And sometimes, it's not really business-like to start calling people before 9 unless they're expecting your call. So sometimes I'm very impatient because I want to get things done, and not everybody likes to text. So, you have to take that into consideration. But I'm usually at the office about 8:30, unless I have some errands to run before that. And you have to just keep on doing things to make it happen. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to, seed some ideas into people's heads and talk to them about real estate and ask them what they're interested in real estate. And you have to be persistent. You can't give up. If it doesn't work one way, then you have to try another way. And just keep on going. My schedule, you have to be, you got to schedule yourself so that you have time for yourself, your family, and your business. And you can't work 9 to 5, that's for sure.
So give us a little bit of insight on what prompted you and what encouraged you to move into a career in the real estate industry, and then give us a little bit of history on yourself so people can get a bit of a perspective of where you came from and what other industries that you serviced and whatnot.
Well, I worked for a law firm for about 12 years to start off with, and I was also a court translator at the time with that law firm. And we dealt mostly in real estate and criminal law. And that was very interesting. That was my introduction into real estate. The guy I worked for, he had a client, and I'm sure you know of them. Dan, they were called Astley Construction. And they launched one of the first condos in Ottawa. So it wasn't done, like things happen nowadays. Everything goes signatures and off to the land registry office electronically. We actually carried all the files. There were 250 units, and we went to register them. There was myself and a couple of other admins that we walked across to the courthouse registry office to do that. So after that, I worked for the government for about 3 years, and that wasn't for me. I needed less 9 to 5 and more out of the box stuff. I owned a Max Milk for a while, Bank and Fifth. Had a lot of fun with the concerts. We'd have 3-4 cash registers going. We had some of the Ottawa University football players as our guards at the doors to let people in and out. So that was fun. And then I was lucky enough to be to join a group to close down a division, and my bonus was that they would abolish my position and I would get a buyout at the same time. So then I went home and I decided, well, you know, I'm going to do everything that I needed to do, that I've always wanted to do. And anyhow, 3 months later, I'm bored to death, of course. And so then I saw an ad to work at the Navan landfill as an admin for a couple of hours a day, 12 to 5. And I said, okay, that's great. I can put around the house and then go there. So within 6 months, I was full-time. And then they asked me to run the trucking division. I did that, and the company grew. So we started with 3 trucks. When I left, we had 60 trucks and 60 drivers. We had a contaminated soil division, which I headed for a long time. Met a lot of fantastic people, negotiated some $1 million deals, just had a great time. But then the company was sold, and even though I still had a job, they weren't running it like the business I wanted to run, like, you know.
So Irene, you were in the waste management business.
Yeah, I was the garbage queen.
The garbage queen.
Yeah.
So the reason that I asked, just for a little bit of a 1 minute prelude into this, is that, you know, in our conversation yesterday, and whenever we do the Driven Show, we obviously have a preliminary conversation to find out a little bit more. And I've known Irene for over 15 years, but I never knew you ran a Max Milk. And there's a couple of other surprises, as a matter of fact, that you know, you shared with us and so forth. But one of the questions I asked you yesterday, and I said, you know, for some people, they're really fortunate, right? They've got family, they've got investor friends, you know, they come into the real estate business, and to a certain degree, they have opportunity already built in. My understanding is you didn't have any of that.
No, I didn't, except for my real estate experience with the law firm. But I just found that my dad was always interested in real estate, and we bought, you know, properties, mostly land. And then I said, you know, and then I sold my house, and I didn't like the service I got. And then I did some investigation and talking to different agents, and I said, you know what, I can do this, and I can do this better. And so one day I was talking to my boss at the landfill, Rob, and I said, you know, Rob, I said, I think I'm going to go into real estate, and then I'll leave. And he said, well, yeah, sure. And so I took the course, passed, and then I had to leave. But they kept me on as a consultant for over a year. So I had some income coming in, you know, that during that difficult period of time. So I was lucky in that way. And then I, you know, 3 months in, I just started getting my first client, which was the lady at the corner of St. Joseph and Johnder.
So you were challenged at the beginning of your career, and I think you had somebody make a comment to you, and I put this in quotations yesterday, and the person said, even a monkey can do that.
Yeah.
And yesterday when you told me that, I said, okay, so I see where the fire was lit here, and where the motivation started. So can you give us a little bit of a snapshot on how that kind of was an initial challenge for you, and how it set the tone of your mindset and so forth.
Well, I had asked this individual, I said, the average agent does how many deals a year? And he said, 7 to 8 type of a thing. And I said, so if I do 16, I would be doing good. And he said, absolutely. So when I hit 16, I called him and I said, hey, guess what? I hit my 16th deal. It went firm today. I'm so excited. And he said, well, in this type of a market, and it was a seller's market at the time, he just said, a monkey can do that. And I was so mad. It's not the word I should use, but
I almost had to use the beep, beep, beep thing in the background.
We are live, remember.
I chose not to use the beeper because I trusted that you were going to say the right choice of words.
Right.
So we get where you're coming from. So give us a little, continue. This is great.
So then I said to him, and how many have you done? And he said 7. And I said, well, I beat you already. So, and I said, you know what? I'm going to challenge myself for the rest of the year to double my numbers. And I did it. Okay. So I hit 32. And, but I also learned along the way that you can't sit at the office and wait for the people to walk in. We did have some walk-ins, but maybe 1 or 2 came in as walk-ins, because if I had nothing to do, I was always at the office picking somebody's brain to find out what they did, how they did it, how successful they were by doing that type of thing. And so one thing I discovered about myself is I can't do cold calling. I just cannot do it. It's not in me. So my other option was door knocking, right? So I started in Chapel Hill South on Pine Glade, and I started door knocking. And every door got easier, and I picked up a few clients. I picked up a few friends that I'm still in contact with. And, and then we were, like I told you, my husband and I had dogs and still have dogs, and we'd walk the dogs, and they're little Dachshunds, so they're very cute. And people would talk to us. It was mostly about the dogs. Nobody talked about each other. We didn't even know each other's names. We knew where we lived, but nothing else. And eventually I started introducing myself to them and giving them my business card. All along, keeping up with the door knocking, and just walking around the neighborhood, talking to people. That was basically it, and giving them information and offering to give them an evaluation, and supporting the schools, and networking with different groups of ladies in Orleans. And
so talk to us about that. So I know that yesterday you mentioned to me that you made a conscious decision to join some networking groups.
Yeah.
And you said to me, I focused on networking groups that were primarily dominated with women.
Yeah.
So can you share with us why you made that decision? And I think this leads up, we're going to talk in a few minutes about how you've replaced the door knocking, just due to COVID, and how you transitioned in the last 6 or 7 months to still being able to touch base with people and so forth. So tell us about that little bit of a change.
Well, the first thing I thought of doing originally was joining the Chamber of Commerce, but I found there were a lot of groups there, little groupies here and there, and it was mostly men, and they were set in their ways, and I didn't find that they were very receptive to a new person walking in. And even though I didn't stand in the corner, I walked up and introduced myself, and they continued with their conversation, basically not acknowledging me at all. So then I spoke to a few ladies that were in business, and I said, how do you network? And so I joined the Orleans women's groups. There were 2 of them. Met a ton of ladies in different walks of life, and still I have friends that from those groups I've made friends, and we're still in touch. Most of them became my clients at the same time. And then I joined BNI, Business Networking International. And that really boosted my business because then I had 30 people talking about me when they were talking to other people. And I would promote them, they would promote me, so we supported each other.
So some pretty big commitments as far as, I mean, these networking events and getting involved with groups and community and so forth takes time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this
I
is
had
your,
time. I had time. I had no clients.
you had no clients. So perfect opportunity to acquire some clients and acquire some opportunities, right? So it sounds like you weren't necessarily going after, these networking groups weren't necessarily to do direct business with the people in those networks, but for them, basically for you to extend your reach in the community and to be able to have opportunity through others,
Yeah.
to basically talk about you and so forth. So you mentioned three things yesterday when I said to you, what's the secret to your success? And you said consistency, perseverance, and scheduling.
Right.
So talk to us about perseverance.
Well, like I said yesterday, you just got to keep on going, and like I said, you have to change maybe your plan along the way. If things don't work one way, they probably will work another way. But don't give up. Like, if you send out 100, if you do some farming, and I still do farming, and I had picked Chapel Hill South at the time. Well, there were so many houses, and then I spoke to somebody else that did farming, and they told me that you might reap success 3 years down the road. Okay, so. But I kept on doing. I just kept on doing and kept on doing, and finally, somebody wanted my services, and that's how it all got started. It If you don't keep on going every day, and you have to have a plan, you got to schedule things. Like how many doors am I going to knock on? How many meetings am I going to go to? That thing of buying a coffee for somebody and while you're at the Tim Hortons or at the Starbucks, and leave your business card with the lady that hands the coffee out, and you meet people that way. You can sit at the Tim Hortons and just talk to people.
So Irene, I know that one of our, one of the things about our brand, and I speak very highly to this, is that it's so recognized around the world. I mean, that balloon,
Yep.
right? And it typically signifies, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of the consumers, top tier, right? And they see the balloon and they understand Remax and so forth. And I know that you're big on branding.
Yeah.
And I know that, and share with us, and I think you told us something yesterday about you were driving your truck or something or another, or your vehicle, and somebody pulled up beside you. And
this was the litter bug. Can you tell us about the litter bug?
Oh yeah. So when I worked at the landfill, I found that our biggest competition was the landfill in the West End and the Carp landfill, and I wanted our landfill in Navan to be as big and as recognized as much as the Carp one. So I said to my boss, I said, if I buy a blue, because that was our colors, a blue Volkswagen Bug, will you pay for the the wrap on the vehicle? And they said sure. And I had at the back of it, it was called the litter bug. And so every morning I would get into my litter bug, and I would get a coffee, and I'd drive up the 417, do a roundabout in Carp, and drive back. And every day I did that. Okay, and that was just to advertise the landfill. So at that point, a few weeks later, the head honcho at the Carp landfill called my boss and said, how many of those litter bugs do you have? And Rob said, we just have a half a dozen, which was a lie, because there's just me driving up and down the highway. But anyhow, so I took that, and I did a wrap on my vehicle when I became a realtor. And people would honk at me, and one lady at the corner of St. Joseph and Johnder at a red light beeped at me, and I rolled down my window, and she said, do you sell houses? And I said, I do. So I said, follow me. And so she followed me into the parking lot of my office, and we chit-chatted, and she said she needed absolutely to buy a house, like in the next 48 hours. So we went into the office, looked up what was available, and she wanted to live in the MacArthur Towers on MacArthur Avenue in Vanier. And we went and saw two that were vacant, put an offer in that afternoon, and that was the sale.
There you go. And it goes to what we were talking about too yesterday, Irene, about two things. Number one, being always on, and
Yeah.
number two, asking. So it's interesting that this always on mentality that you had with the litter bug, like always on, always, or seemingly everywhere. And then of course, when you tie that into a habit that all of us here as realtors, professional realtors should have, which is asking for the business, asking for the sale, asking for us to continue to build these relationships. Why don't you take us on a journey as to, you've been in the business for a while, but a lot of these experiences you've had as skills, and I asked you yesterday if you had a marketing background, and you said what?
No.
No. So how did Irene uncover the secret of, learning how to ask and learning how to develop these relationships and learning how to market herself so that she's seemingly everywhere?
Well, information is very important. And if you share your information and you tell people who you are, but to start off with, you begin by asking them who they are. What do you do? Like this morning, I went to the Starbucks to pick up my coffee, and the lady said to me, and we were waiting, and she said, "So what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a real estate agent." And I said, "Oh, I love your glasses. Where did you get them?" And we chit chat about that. And I said, "How long you've been working?" So I turned it around to talk about her, right? And all the time looking for a business card in my pocket. And so I said to her, anyhow, and then she gave me my coffee. I said, "If you ever need a real estate agent," I said, "please give me a call, or if you just want to chit chat." So she said, "Have a great day. And, I'll see you probably tomorrow again, and we'll continue the conversation." But it's just talking about yourself and about them. It's always about them, because my logo says real estate is all about you. And that's what I truly believe. And if you don't ask, you'll never get it. There's so many opportunities out there that some people miss. And by not asking the question is
Exactly.
that, the best question is, if somebody says, "How is the market?" the best answer is, "Why are you asking? Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest?" And because there's 3 different answers that I can give you. And they go, "Well, I'm thinking of selling." Okay, well, I'll tell you about the selling market right now.
In fact, you went to a shoe store lately, right?
Yeah, I did. I went crazy.
Tell us what happened there.
So my girlfriend was looking for a pair of boots, and I decided I'll help her. So I want to help the economy all the time, of course. So I bought 4 pairs of boots, but they're on half price, right? So I only spent like half of the money I would have otherwise. But anyhow, I love shoes. So I'm talking to the lady, and she tells me she loves my glasses, and she asked me where I got them, and we chit chatted. And then I said to her, "Do you own a home?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Where do you live?" And we talked about real estate a little bit. And then I just said, "Here, listen, if you ever want some information about the value of your home, just give me a call and we'll chit chat." And I called yesterday because my girlfriend wanted the other pair that she left behind, and her daughter wants to buy it for her Christmas. So I asked for this lady, and she was there, and we chit chatted some more. And she asked me a question about real estate, and I answered her. And I'll be going back to that store. They have great shoes. And
so the interesting thing to this story, guys, and I think the reason Johnder brought this up, and for those of you that know Ottawa, Irene lives in the east end of the city, and that's primarily the market that she services. I mean, she services the entire Ottawa region, but that's where she lives, and so forth and so forth. This shopping center that she went to, this independent store, is pretty much entirely in the other end of the city. Yet she walked in there and could have just went in and bought her boots and walked in and walked out. But the thing that Johnder said about always being on, she actually there was a window of opportunity, and she said to the lady, "Would you happen to be a homeowner?" And I think that that's one of the things that many of us negate to ask straight out, right? Like, it's not, and I love that question, because a lot of people will ask, "Are you thinking about buying or selling in the next blah, 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 blah days," and whatever the case may be. But just simply asking, are you currently a homeowner? And if you have the proper, if you're armed with the proper scripts and so forth to be able to respond to, depending on what the response is, You can either help them become a homeowner, or B, depending on the person's demographic, you know, is your home satisfying everything that you and your family need, especially during these interesting times. So you're constantly creating opportunities for yourself. And I think your intention there, Irene, is not just was to get business from this one particular individual that's in the retail world and probably meets a lot of people every day, but it was also to create an opportunity to maybe get some referrals and so forth. Because this really, let's be honest, it's not your primary market, but yet you're still looking for, you know, you're still on the hunt and looking to expand the Irene Bilinski name and opportunity.
Well, you never know where the person lives, right? They might be working in the West End, but they might be living in Ottawa core, or they could be working in Barrhaven or whatever. So, you know, take the opportunity when it presents itself, and you don't have to make a big deal out of it. It's just a social conversation that you're having with that person, right?
Yeah, it's all tonality and whatnot. And I know one of the things of the terminology you said yesterday, and you said, well, I'm definitely not a secret agent.
No.
And I think that that's one thing. And if you want to speak to us about that, you know, like, how do you let people know who you are and, you know, what industry that you're in, and, you know, what's available, what services that you provide the consumer world?
Well, you know, I work with buyers and sellers and investors, and I'm an investor myself. So I want to talk about things with people that I know of, you know. My husband and I own some, you know, townhouses and condo apartments. And so I'm a homeowner, you know, and my life experience brings a lot of things to my present career. But overall, you know, if you can hand out, I don't know if you know Chris Leader, he's a speaker. And when I started in business, I went to one of his sessions, and he says, at the end, he said, the best thing you can do is to give out 10 business cards every day, and make sure you give out 10 every day, because that's 10 more connections. And at first I said, like, why would I give a business card to everybody I meet? It didn't make sense to me. But the more I thought about it, I realized it does make sense. How is anybody going to know who I am? It's like when I went into real estate, everybody said, oh, you got to get a website. And I said to myself, that's stupid, because who knows Irene Bilinski is a real estate agent? Like, who would type in Irene Bilinski real estate? You know, like, I didn't exist as that. I was the garbage queen at the time. So it's that transition period in the first year that you have to get it across to people. So sending out letters, asking your friends to help, asking your family to help, talking to your colleagues that you had before in you know, like, I called everybody since I started working that I was in touch with, that I became a real estate agent, and I would appreciate their support, whether they wanted to buy a house, sell a house, or invest in a house. But and I don't have relatives, okay? I don't have any relatives except my brother and his family. We came to Canada when I was 4. Everybody that lived in Poland and the Ukraine disappeared. So I don't have uncles, aunts, cousins that could support me. So it's all what, you know.
Self-driven.
Yeah. And I think that's what it was all about, because that my dad taught me that, you know, if you want something, go after it. And his other thing was pay cash for everything.
That's right. And so let's explore this a little bit more, Irene. So, you know, getting business cards, talking to people, getting a website, all of these things that, you know, daily activities that realtors do. But a lot of the time we tend to get caught up in activities that aren't necessarily, you know, revenue producing or not necessarily as productive. So when we look at your success, Irene, what would you say are the daily, like, what does your day look like for you to have achieved this level of success? What do you do every single day?
Talk to people.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Well, let's take it from morning to like, for example, do you have a schedule? Do you have set hours of prospecting. I mean, just a little bit of a hint, because she's always on. There is no set hours of prospecting. It's always, right? But take us to a typical day of what Irene does from the moment she gets up to the moment she calls it a day.
Okay, well, regular stuff, get up, take a shower, have a coffee, get in the car and head to the office. I work better from an office than from my home because I can get distracted easily. So what I have to focus, so I can focus at the office. And so I answer all my emails to make sure that I haven't forgotten anybody. And then I always have a few people to call in my database. And especially during COVID, what I did was I called everybody in my database, seeing how they were doing, if they needed any help, that type of thing. And had a chat about what's happening in their lives. Oh, I broke my hip, and I go, oh my God, da da da. We talk about the hip, and then we talk about the latest holidays they took, or what they're doing at home during this period of time, whether they're working from home or still going to the office and that type of thing. And I put all of that in my top producer, so when I call them back, I can talk to them about their new grandchild or their new daughter or their graduation of their son or whatever, so you always have a topic of conversation when you call your people. And so that's one thing I do. I have lunch with a lot of people, not during COVID, but I've had a few during COVID, but outdoors. Then I do my showings. I contact my networking groups and see how everybody is doing. Then I might go home if dinner is ready, and I might not go home if dinner's not ready because I don't want to cook. And
everybody's smiling. Everybody's
I'm pretty lucky because Norm is not a fantastic cook, but he's a good cook. So sometimes dinner is ready, and while we're having dinner, I'll throw in a load of laundry and make a few phone calls, because the phone never stops, right, until you turn it off for the night. If I have nothing going, I turn off my phone at 9 p.m. every day.
So Irene, you've been very diligent about keeping connected with people and making sure that you're reaching them and touching them. So you meet somebody new. What's your automatic?
Talk to them about what they do, where they live, whether they have family or children, their interests, that type of thing. And then they ask me, well, everybody asks me, and everybody asks every realtor in the world, how's real estate?
Sure.
So go back to the same routine.
Sure. But you follow up with them. You mentioned something yesterday about a follow-up. So how do you follow up? What's your traditional method of follow-up?
Send them a card.
How many cards a week would you say you write?
Oh gosh, well right now we're writing hundreds of them because it's
pre-Christmas holidays.
I would say about 5 to 10
per week.
Per week. Yeah.
And what's the impact? And what would you say is the impact to your consumers in getting? Because I know what your cards are. It's wonderful meeting you and so forth and so forth. And I know now that with your database management system, you told me that you've certainly improved it, and it's gotten better and better and better as it's evolved. That now you're doing anniversary cards, you're doing birthday cards. Are those all handwritten?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not. I think one of the things, and when I look at doing 50 transactions a year for those of us that are in the real estate business as a solo agent, I mean that's a lot of business, right? That's you're dealing with a different family every single week to satisfy their real estate needs, and I mean that's a lot of volume. And I know that you have some great administrative help.
Yep.
So that's certainly been an asset for you, but you still take the time to make sure that you're sending that card. And share with us, because I think that this is really an important message that goes back to the basic fundamentals of human need. And you can spend tons of money on marketing and blasting and all this other stuff, but I know that your business over the last 15 years has been relationship based.
Yeah.
So tell us about those touches that you do when you're reaching out to those consumers via card and how that impacts them and how it benefits you?
Well, everybody has a birthday, right? And everybody has somebody that passes away in their family. Everybody has an anniversary. Everybody becomes a grandparent or an uncle or an aunt or whatever. Or they become parents to a puppy. It doesn't cost much to write congratulations or I'm sorry to hear about your loss or whatever. Last year, a friend and I decided we were going to start knitting. And we started to knit blankets. Every time one of my clients had a baby, we would take a blue one or a pink one and send it off to the client with a little note, congratulations, and so excited for you guys. It was a personal touch. It was more than a little card and a bouquet of flowers or something. So it was a memento. So that'll be the blankie of the child, hopefully.
But people remember that stuff.
Yeah, they do. They
right?
do. I know I do. When people take the time to send me a card, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got away from that because postage became so expensive. But if you think about it, it's costing you about $1.25 to touch somebody.
And I think that that's the thing, right? With social media and with the ability to wish somebody well or to do it in a millisecond from your handheld device, that's a wonderful thing. But I think something you mentioned yesterday, I know you continue to do that, but I think above and beyond that, you're constantly still touching them on a personal level, and you're making sure, I know personally today, if I get a letter in the mail from somebody, it's a big thing. 5 years ago, I used to hate going to the mailbox. Now it's like, oh my God, somebody thought to write me a letter. So I think that's brilliant that you've continued with that.
Well, it's an effort for people, right? And I know that personally, if somebody wishes me happy birthday on Facebook, I'm very happy and I'm thankful that they took the moment to do it. But when I get a card in the mail or a letter or something, I'm very excited and I keep that.
It's just a different level of touch, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
Like
So
yesterday we received an email from a client that always sends out Christmas cards, and she sent me a note telling me what happened to her since COVID started. And it was interesting, they were on a trip when this was declared, how they got home, that type of thing. And I said, keep this up. I would appreciate receiving your newsletter once a year to know what's happening in your life and Patrick's life, so, and people get into it as well because it's so personal,
So Irene, do you have, and I know I posted it in the pictures internally, but do you have your little thing that you track your deals on, your little sheets of paper?
Yes, I do, but it's on the wall.
Okay.
Because of our motivator. We started that because we needed to see how well we were doing without having to go into top producer. But here's my little house. Oops. And every time a deal goes firm, we put it on, right? And I was able. Yeah.
I think my point in this is that, for so many that are in our industry with technology and everybody having this fear that I need the best of this and the best of that, and I need all these tools and all these resources and all this other stuff. I mean, you have a simple piece of paper that you've gone into, I guess you did it in PowerPoint or something or another, and basically created, and I think your admin Christine did it, which is wonderful, but a very simplistic thing for you to visually look at day to day. I know you had a goal this year. You almost hit it last year. You wanted to sell 50 properties, and you came real close. You were like 98% of the way there, and you fell short, but you were determined this year. And when I initially asked you to allow us the privilege to interview you, you were 3 deals off, which was, I think, mid-November, or maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And you said, I'm going to hit that 50 transactions. And and you did. And you called me and you said, I did it, which is a phenomenal achievement, again, for an individual agent to be able to do this. Now, I don't see you stressed out very often. Okay. I mean, I've talked to you periodically, and you're peed off because you might be dealing with a situation that didn't go in the, or another realtor on the other end, but you're typically in a very great mood. And I've always known you to be in a pretty, joyful mood and always friendly. And anybody that walks in your door, you're always willing to help them and you're always willing to chat with them. So you got the same 24 hours as everybody else. Yet I'm looking behind you right now, and I can see all these boxes that you've got sitting on your filing cabinet. And I know that you do things with frequency, again, to touch your clients, to thank your clients, to make sure that you're top of mind. Can you give us some insight on how you do that, the types of things that you do to make sure that you're engaged with people all the time? I mean, you're doing the letters and the handwrittens when you meet them. Give us some insight on what else you're up to.
Well, everybody that purchased or sold with us this year and every year gets a Christmas gift, but they also get, a closing gift like everybody else. I love shopping. I'll admit it. Like, if I have 5 minutes, I'll go to the mall and I can walk and do my steps that I need to exercise per day and buy a few items that catch my eye. Sometimes they're on sale, and then we wrap it up, and either myself or Christine, my admin, or my husband or my granddaughter drops it off at my client's home, and they're very happy. And I had a lady this year that went through a really rough time. She had to sell her husband's business because he passed away suddenly, and she had no clue what she was doing. And she kept on saying, she said, I kept on praying that somebody would send me someone to help me through this. And it so happened that her neighbor is a friend of, her neighbor is my friend Rock, who I used to work with, and he's also a client of mine. And he says, why don't you call Irene? She'll help you. So we muddled through this business. It sold within weeks. And then all the stress she had on her shoulders just left. And so, I tried to send her little gifts during this process, just a box of chocolates or some flowers just to pop up her day. And we're, we'll be in touch forever, of course. So Christmas is another opportunity to make everybody's day. Send a gift to all of your, I don't know if it's the right word, the referrals or referees or the person that gives you a referral. Thank them, because every time you send them a little thank you, they'll think of somebody else to refer to you. So, and they always get stuff,
So it's funny, all these points that you're knocking on, and Johnder and I do a lot of training, and we have conversations during our meeting, and all these touch points that you're conveying to the 35 or 36 people on this call. We hope that you guys will grab some nuggets out of this and start maybe processing in your mindsets that, and Johnder said it earlier, like Irene's always on. At the same time, she's doing things that she enjoys, and she's been, like you said, you don't like to do cold calling, so you've never done cold calling. I know
I tried it once.
You tried it once, and that's okay. You discovered that, okay, this is not sitting in my platform or doesn't feel right, and so forth. So, Irene, if you had to give, I'm going to share two things first. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you have any fun?
Yeah, I do. I go to concerts with my grandkids, mostly rock concerts. We went to Syracuse once because my granddaughter loves a drummer in a band. I can't remember the band anymore. But anyhow, we all went.
You still went.
We still went, and we had a great time. And she says, you're the only grandmother that would go to a rock concert with her granddaughter. And I said, well, your grandfather came too, and your mom and your dad and your brother, so we had a great time.
But you do other stuff for fun.
Yeah, in the summer I own a motorcycle and I ride with a group. And as the years go by, my knees aren't as strong as they used to be because you're holding about 1,000 pounds of metal between your legs. So when you're on a slope, it gets a little harder. But all that to say, yeah, we ride in the summer, and it can't be weekend riding, so because I have showings, right? So
I think the reason that I asked that question is primarily for, you know, you're not the stereotype.
No.
Right? And, you know, it just goes to show you that regardless of who you are, your age, your height, your race, it doesn't matter, right?
No.
It's all about what's up here, and it's all about doing the work and putting yourself in the right frame of mind to be able to, and I know you service your clients very, very well. That's definitely, you know, we get the feedback from the clients, we get the letters and so forth, and I get those for many of you on this call. But I know that, you know, we've gotten some great feedback over the years with Irene. She's not a problem child. We've never had any RICO issues with her and that kind of thing, which is wonderful. So it just tells us that she's doing the right thing over and over and over again on behalf of her clients. So just to kind of get to the point of wrapping up, just tell me about your motivations and what recommendations that you would make for an agent moving into 2021 into the marketplace. What are the 2 or 3 things that you would give them as far as advice goes to focus on?
One of the things would be decide what you want next year. Like, is there a dollar that you want to achieve? Is there a number? Is it the unit number of units you want to sell? Whatever, you know, it can be 10, it can be 50, it can be 100. And set up a plan of doing something, scheduling something every day to promote yourself. You know, if I know that one of my colleagues here, she plays she curls, and she's made a lot of contacts there, and that's been beneficial to her. You know, some people golf, but whatever is your passion, use your passion for your business as well. You know, like, get up and go. You know, be thankful that you can get up and go, and appreciate what the results are, because whatever we do to get to the closing, at the end of that rainbow is our commission check, right? So if you don't do those steps, you can't whine about not making any money, because this is a business that you can make money in, and good money, but you have to take the steps to get there. So you got to get up in the morning, you got to go and meet some people, shake some hands. You know, this business is belly to belly, nose to nose. That's all there is to it. You know, talk to, everywhere you go, talk to people. You know, whether it's the gas guy or the waiter at the restaurant, or the Tim Horton person, or the Starbucks person, or, you know, if you go to a gym, let people know what you do.
So Irene, if you don't mind, I'm going to interject here with a question, because you explained it so easily and so calmly, as if it was second nature to you. And, you know, because we're doing this live on Zoom as well as on our Facebook feed, we have a question by one of our realtors. Her name is Raha. She's newer in the business. She's just in her first year of the business. And this is what her question is. I am in the first years of real estate. For me, the challenge is when initiating a conversation with a stranger, what do they think of me? So, I mean, for you, you've been through so many different businesses, interacted with so many different people. You're so comfortable with asking. How about those of us who are, I guess, kind of shy or intimidated or have a fear of rejection? How do we overcome that?
Well, you have to, you know, it's like doing videos. I always thought I couldn't do videos because all my hair is ugly. I don't have beautiful hair. I'm older. I got wrinkles. I'm chubby. I've got round cheeks, you know, the insecurities of being me. And then somebody said to me, you know what you see is not what we see. And I said, what do you mean? And we see a nice person. We see a beautiful woman. We see someone that has the joys of life, you know, that enjoys life completely. And I went, really? And they went, yep. And so that kind of helped me, you know. And I'm also I think outside of the box a lot. And I've always been in like, you know, the waste business is really a man's business. There's more men than women in that business. And I've always been in businesses that there was less women. And I wanted to prove that I could do it. That, like, it's my own challenge. I challenge myself that I'm going to go and talk to, you know, 10 strangers today sometime. So and we all are different, you know, some are introverts, some are extroverts. So I've got a little bit of both. Sometimes I'm the wallflower, and sometimes I'm right out front there. But overall, I'm usually behind the camera and not in front of the camera.
So Irene, when you're asking for opportunity and they give you a negative response or just really have no desire, how does that impact you?
It doesn't, well, it doesn't change much because that day they're not interested. It's just that day. Okay. So if you keep on asking, eventually they'll either tell you to go, you know, where, or they'll actually say, look, I'm not interested, but you know what? My sister, my brother, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, my grandpa are ready to sell or buy. And I'll give them your name, or here, call them. And and then I'm very grateful, of course, you know, and they become someone that refers me business instead of being part of my my client base.
So I'm just going to put it out there to everybody right now. Does anybody, as we're, you know, getting closer to wrapping up, and there's so much more in depth here to Irene Bilinski, by the way. So I've posted a couple of times Irene's contact information, and she's graciously offered for her little house that she had built. If any of you are interested in having a copy of that, just reach out to her via email. Her contact is in the chat, so just copy and paste it and send her a quick email, and she'd love to connect with you. So don't be shy in that respect. But oh, we got a question here. I'm new agent and just got my TREB ID. Oh, perfect. Okay, so we've got, and I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's Shella or Sheila is saying she's a new agent, brand new. This is a great question. And she's not able to open her video because she's with a toddler. So we appreciate you being on mute. This is awesome. Thank you so much. So she's basically asking, what is the one piece of advice, brand new in the business? What do you do without going crazy with marketing and that type of thing?
Talk to your neighbors. Like I spoke with you yesterday, and I said, when we moved into the house we live now, I sent a letter to all the neighborhood that I live, you know, 4 or 5 streets, and just said, hello, my name is Irene Bilinski, and my husband's name is Norm, and my mom Helen lives with us. We have 2 dogs, and we're living at 1390 Minogue, and blah 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 blah. And then I'm looking forward to getting to know you. That was the end of it. And about a month or 2 later, I sent them a business card and another letter telling them what I did and what my husband did. So it was just like an introduction. And then when people were walking their kids or walking their dogs, they would say, hey, you're Irene. I say, yes, I am. And you are? And they'd give me their name, right? And then they tell me, oh, we live on Royal Oak or whatever the street is. And, you know, that was kind of, and over the years, I've sold every house in front of me. And I got referrals from my neighbor on the left and my neighbor on the right. So, you know, business is out there for everybody, and you just got to take it. And even, you know, Sheila, you know, take a walk with your baby, introduce yourself to your neighbors, because people don't know each other. They're living right, like in Orleans and Avalon, the houses are stuck together basically. They have beautiful big houses, but the lots are very small, and they don't even know each other, right? So introduce yourself.
Yeah, and I love the best part when you told us yesterday. I mean, this was not, you know, Irene was not in business when she and her family moved into this community. I mean, you had been there for I think you had been in real estate for a very short period of time, and you know, I think it just goes to putting it out there. You know, I think all of you should be every single day wearing a Remax pin, or if you've got your own branding that signifies that you're a realtor. Your laptops, the back of your laptop should have something that says, like, the best thing ever is get a skin. They're $35. We're talking about not spending a lot of money, and wherever you're going, because hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months, we're going to be getting back to somewhat of a realistic way that we were living a year and a half ago, God willing. And, you know, have something on your laptop that has the Remax balloon that says, feel free to ask me about real estate. Like, and I know that Irene does this stuff. And, you know, she's always, you know, the title of this show is going to be, I think it's going to be Always On, because we've got to title this for our YouTube video. And that's the one thing that I'll give her a ton of credit for, regardless of whether it's personal or in business space or whatever. You're always looking for opportunity just to engage with somebody, give them information. I know you're restarting your videos soon on market updates.
Yeah. I just want to mention even I had some masks done. They're black with my logo and irenebilinski.com with a little balloon on the side. So when I go into a store and when I go to the Orleans Home Hardware, Joanne sees me and she knows it's Irene behind that mask because we don't recognize each other anymore, you know, got the mask on. So I decided, well, I'm going to have some masks made with my name on it. So that's what I did. And those are the ones I wear most of the time if I don't forget it in one of my pockets. But yeah.
Small, it's a small things, but I think it's just about, again, it's about mindset, right? You know, we went into COVID and I know that, I mean, Irene did more business than she did last year. Congratulations, many of you the same, of course, but you rebounded pretty quickly with respect to how you were handling things. And I know that back in, I think it was in April or May, when people couldn't find PPE stuff and couldn't find gloves and whatnot on our social site, Irene was the one saying, hey, everybody, go to Home Hardware on Innes Road because they've got, I think it was Home Hardware, right?
Yeah.
Where they had 10th line, my apologies, where they had supply at the time when you couldn't find supply. So, you know, I think we've got somebody here that has an abundance mentality, somebody that's giving, somebody that's a team player, somebody that you know, doesn't fear to share and to give, right? And in return, you're getting rewarded for being structured. Your clients, I know, reward you. Like I know when sometimes you told me you've sent out a card or whatever, and it could have been a card from 6 months ago, but people don't forget that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's paying dividends for you as you move into 2021. So 2021, what's it look for you like for you?
Just one more deal.
Any goals? Are you going to do more than 50?
Yeah.
All right.
At least 51 for sure.
Yeah. I love this in the chat here. Manuela from our Innes Road office just said, you know, her first office meeting that she stepped into, and, you know, we were fortunate enough at the time to be, you know, belly to belly in our conversations, but Irene just basically said, hey, if you need anything, feel free. And I know that resonates throughout what you do on a day-to-day basis. But again, I love that you're at the boot store and you ask the person there, are you a homeowner?
Yep.
Just to create a conversation as you did at Starbucks or wherever it was yesterday. So, Johnder?
So it sounds like do we have any more questions from anybody that's joining us either through Facebook or on our Zoom call today? And as you all know, this will be on our www.remaxhallmarkdriven.com. And Irene has done such a fabulous, has done so fabulously in sharing with us her experience and just so calmly yet confidently. And that's what I admire about her is just, you know, it's just that simple, isn't it? Just always be on, embrace your profession with a passion, and just keep asking and just keep talking to people. That's all we've got to do. A lot of us tend to overthink it, but look at Irene's business model. Just talk to people, connect, ask, right?
And is Christine there?
Yes, she is.
Can we say hi to Christine very quickly?
Come on.
So I think that this is one of the other things that for those of you as you grow your businesses and so forth is, and I know Christine because I see her pretty frequently through the week as I go between the offices and so forth. And, you know, having somebody that you're really connected to, and I know these two connect very, very well. I don't know if back in the days of MASH, if you guys remember, there was, what was the fellow's name? Radar. And Christine is like Irene's radar, where I think she's like always a little bit of a step ahead. And Irene's laughing, but she can almost predict what it is that Irene's looking for. And then there's been other assistants and so forth, but I think that you know, there's such a great match here, and a wonderfully motivated person in the background that's there to support and to help Irene with her day-to-day as well. And that's something that, you know, we should all look for as we grow our businesses and so forth as an individual like Christine. So thank you, Christine, for helping Irene be who she is and build and help her solidify her relationships with her clients. So I guess we're going to wrap up, everybody. There's no questions in the chat. Again, Irene's contact information is there for anybody in our region or anybody outside of our region that wants to connect with her. There's some great stuff happening in the marketplace with investors. I know Irene deals with some investors. So for those of you in the other regions that want to find out about the nation's capital, what's happening, it is the center of the universe, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. For you GTA people that think that Toronto's the center, I'm just kidding. There's wonderful things.
We'll let you get away with it.
Jonder's going to get mad at me for that one, but we really, really do thank you
after.
for being here, and wish you all wonderful holidays. Please look forward to our next Driven session. That'll be sometime in January. And God bless everybody. And thank you all for being here, and stay healthy and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you so much.
Dan, appreciate it. Thank you
so much.
And thank you, everybody, for joining this video. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Irene.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.